Well, hello there. Welcome to the results from typing assignment number 4. We had a great time typing this assignment. I enjoyed reading all your pieces, so let's get to it. Well, typing assignment number 4 was about the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Yes, that classic old pangram that we typewriter enthusiasts love so much to type. I thought it would be a good opportunity to use this phrase as a jumping off point to explore what we can do creatively with it. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different ways of going with this. The most obvious way, of course, is a simple story about the dog and the fox. The other way of going about it is more symbolic. Maybe they represent something else, or even something philosophical or analytical and not really fiction at all. And I think just about every one of those ways was used in all the pieces that you guys submitted. And I was really pleased to have read them and to see where you guys went with this. And so, without any further ado, let's get into the slideshow, and afterwards I'll talk a little bit about each one. Well, I have my cup of coffee ready, and so let's get into it. Well, the first piece submitted was by David Randall. He used an Olivetti Underwood Lettera 22, and his piece was really fun. He's writing it from the first person perspective of the dog, and it's funny that a literal reading of the Quick Brown Fox, it makes it sound like there's obviously a lot of competition, like the classic battle between the dog and the fox. But really what's funny about this story was the ending, where the dog and the fox are in cahoots with each other, protecting each other's interests, and the farmer ends up being the dupe in all of this relationship. And I thought it was very funny. Well done, David. I liked it a lot. And then John Monroe's piece was great. He typed it on a Hermes 3000, and I really liked the humor of it. He combined the Quick Brown Fox with the Pack My Box with 5 dozen liquor jugs pangram. That was a great piece. I really loved what he did with it. Diane C., her piece was very funny, and it was also kind of had an element of being like an Aesop's fable in a sense. And very clever. She used the alphabet series of letters as characters. She has one character that's named Elaminope, and the other one is QWERTY. And I just thought it was a very funny, clever, and Aesopian kind of a story. Well done. Michael Rasmussen's piece was typed on a 1958 Optima, and it's titled TQB FJO TLD. The Quick Brown Fox jumps over the lazy dog. Very good. And again, similar to John Monroe's piece, in this one, Michael has the fox and the hound are buddies. and they're always keeping Big Round Man from finding the fox. Again, it's a very clever way of turning the tables on the classic story, where the animals are out to protect their interests against the human. Very interesting. I liked it. And Richard Wood's piece was typed on a 1970s Imperial Safari. You know, it was a very charming story, and I like the personalities of the animals involved. Really complex personalities and really well-detailed work. I really liked it, Richard. Thank you. Andrew Nichols' piece was typed on an AEG Olympia Traveler Deluxe S, and it's a very original, cute poem. And I like where the fox gets the hen, the dog is lazy, and the legend of the fox and the dog lives on. So everybody plays their traditional role in the pangram, and again, like a classic poem. And John Malett, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, John Malett's piece, Fox on the Rocks, was typed on a 1975 Olympia Traveler Deluxe. Again, another Olympia Traveler Deluxe. This was really funny. This was a mashup of a lot of different tropes. You have the poker playing dogs in the bar. You have they're from Old MacDonald's farm. And Jack Be Nimble is the candle jumping bartender. And it's just a hilarious piece. Really a great job of mashing up a lot of traditional legends and tropes in that regard. And I'm very happy to report that at the last minute we were able to get James's piece in to me, and so I'm just reading it right off of my iPod here. But his piece is a poem. It's a sestina poem, and it's really deep and really interesting. He's using the imagery in here that it's the problem of manual typing, you know, and he says, even my 52 crinkle brown Smith Corona can arouse anger quickly. But he uses a lot of interesting imagery to talk about the lazy dog and the quick brown fox, really talking about being a typist, being a writer, and with typewriters. And I like what he says here. Lazy, sloppy touch typists can be overwhelmed at the prospect of a mistyped brown fox looking like brawn fix, and thus enraged quickly reach for the eraser, attempting to fix brown. But with brawn strength they tear through the page and jump from their chair spewing, "Son of a female dog." Oh, that is so great, so witty and true. This is a great piece, a great poem, very deep and well thought out. I'm really glad that we were able to include it in this week's assignment. Thank you. So Cameron Wright, he did a story written with the Remington Noiseless 7, and this was different. A lot of the other pieces were kind of humorous, taking humor with the story. His was a lot more serious, I would say introspective, and it's kind of a philosophical study of laziness, and also of, he has a great line in here, I think, that sums it up for me. Choosing who to be is a daily act. And he's talking about choosing whether we're going to be the lazy dog. And it's powerful writing, and he talks about daily reinvention of yourself through willful choice. I thought it was a very powerful piece, and it was one of those unanticipated directions of going with the assignment. It's not what you would think how the assignment would go. Very original. I really loved it, Cameron. Well done. Darren Sundstrom's piece, written on a 1951 Underwood Rhythm Touch, and it's an analytical essay about how we project ourselves into nature. I like his line, "That sly fox, that lazy dog, tell us more about us than themselves." And this is so true with so many of these fables, the fable-like stories, where the moral of the story is really about human nature. And we really write about ourselves through these other characters. Very observational, Darren. Well done. I liked it a lot. Kevin Anderson's piece was written on an Olympia SM3 with italic font. I think there was only one other piece written in an italic font, which you might be surprised at. But Kevin Anderson's piece was very funny. And I like, it's the classic story, right? The fox goes toward the hen house. The lazy dog is not really doing his job very well of protecting. The farmer's concerned about it. And the great surprise ending was the farmer discovered the power of electricity to defend the hen house. Very funny, Kevin. I love it. I wonder if there's a moral in there about electric typewriters. Anyways, David C., your piece was typed on a 1956 Optima Elite, and I think that was maybe the second Optima. Wow, yes. Anyways, his piece was called Morning Calm. This was beautifully written, an idyllic farm setting. It's a beautiful description of early morning in a rural setting, and the dog senses, the dog is not just lazy, or appears to be lazy, but the dog senses that the fox has kits back in the den that also need to be fed by the sacrificial rabbits. And so this is really a story about the cycle of nature. It's really about the big picture view of life and death, and how the dog doesn't mind sacrificing a few rabbits for the sake of keeping the fox's family alive. And what's the value of the rabbit's family over the fox's family? So he doesn't take the capitalist farmer's interest in mind more than he does the cycle of life itself, which I think is a really great way of approaching the story. Well done, David. Okay, John Campbell's piece was typed on a 1923 Underwood 11. It's called The Pondering Fox, and it's very interesting. It's really kind of about the whole issue of predestination versus free will is what I see in this. And it's about the fox is fated to be quick, and the dog is fated to be lazy, endlessly, over and over, for all time, because we keep typing that phrase on our typewriters. That was funny. That was very good. It's a very philosophical piece hidden behind the humor of it. I loved it. Thanks, John. Well done. And Kevin Kittle. Now, Kevin Kittle is a local Albuquerquean whom I met at the Albuquerque Type-In back in April. And he typed his piece on his powder blue 1958 Smith Corona Electric Portable. And you notice, Kevin, what I got on the table here. Anyways, his piece was very clever, very original. So even the color of the paper, I thought, worked into this, because he's typing this as kind of a report or a study on a hidden artifact found inside a secret pocket in the lining of a German U-boat commander's jacket that is in the U-boat museum, U-534, I didn't write it down. One of the U-boats is on an exhibit in a museum. Anyways, the museum's curators discovered this piece of paper hidden inside the lining of this jacket that's in the museum, and on this piece of paper is an original Enigma code machine message that was a test message used to fill up airspace, and what's in the message is the quick brown fox. So I thought it was really fun. That shows on Kevin's part a lot of technical knowledge about the Enigma machine and how it was used, the rotor settings and all that, and the messaging formatting. I thought it was a very clever piece. Well done, Kevin. Thanks. And David Wells, he typed his piece, The Hound and the Fox, on a 1941 Royal Quiet Deluxe. And I love this piece because it's the dog and the fox each taking turns explaining their lives, explaining the way the little pangram goes, how they are justifying why it is that they appear to be who they are. That the dog is trying to explain he's not lazy. He's doing his best to protect the farmer. And the fox is explaining that he's not just quick and sly, but the fox has a rough life, a lot rougher life than the lazy dog, and the fox has to keep his family fed and protect himself against the coyotes out there. So it's a really well done story from the perspective of the two characters, very clever. Eric Bergstrom's piece was typed, his piece called Breaking News was typed in a 1950 Remington Quiet Rider, and it was just really funny. This was written in the perspective of kind of a newspaper crime story about the sighting of the quick brown fox in town and how everybody should be on the alert and on the lookout. I thought it was really a lot of fun. Michael Kitchen's piece of Lazy Clifford was typed on a 1961 Smith Corona Coronet automatic. That would be perhaps the third electric typewriter used in this assignment this week. Anyway, his story is really funny, and it's not funny humorous, but funny in the sense of it's a little more serious. I mean, you know, there's this guy having an affair with his brown fox, and they get discovered by his wife and his wife's brother, who's armed with a gun, and his girlfriend heads out the back door as his brother-in-law takes aim and fires. Wow, serious story, definitely a different take on the quick brown fox kind of piece. And Diane Mayer's piece was typed on a 1956 Royal HH, and the setting, this is so funny, the setting was MASH Unit 4077. So you remember the TV series MASH, set in the Korean War, filmed in California. Very funny piece. It's a slow day at the hospital camp. Everybody is taking a break from the grind, and they're watching the fox trying to get the chickens. Very cool piece. And I noticed there was a character in the story that sounded like it was a character from Hogan's Heroes, a character named Hogan. So I thought it was kind of fun. Okay, the second to the last piece was from Andrea Van Cleve, my wife. And this was a surprise to me. I got home from work on Saturday evening, and I checked my email, and I found in my email a typewritten piece, an attachment, a JPEG image from my wife, typed on the Smith Corona Sterling, the italic Smith Corona. Total surprise. I didn't know she was going to do this. She hasn't really even shown much interest in using any of my typewriters, but that particular typewriter was sitting out on a tray table in the patio room, and her story is the classic rendition of the patience of the fox is rewarded in getting his dinner of a chicken, a hen. Well done. And finally, through the urging of some of you listeners and watchers out there, you encouraged me to maybe start participating in these stories. And so last night, as I was putting together the slideshow in this video, getting everybody's images off the internet and getting them together, I started thinking, you know, maybe I should put a piece together. And then I started thinking about Kevin Kittle's light blue Smith Corona Electric, and I decided I need to represent the light blue Smith Corona Electrics. So I typed my piece on this typewriter this morning. I sat out in the patio room. It was not patio room, but out on the front porch, and it was getting already in the 90s, pretty warm outside. So I started thinking last night about the quick brown fox and the lazy dog, and I started thinking how the word fox is often used, or at least back in my day, was used as kind of a sexist pejorative to refer to pretty females, and in fact that was referred to in one of the previous stories, and in Michael Kitchen's story. And I also was thinking how I've heard my young grandson talking with his buddies, and when they want to be all macho, they call each other dog. Kind of a modern millennialist kind of phrase, right? The boys call each other, hey dog. So I thought it would be fun to write a little story from the perspective of the fox and the dog, referring to that, kind of a high school kind of a story. So that was my piece. Anyways, I really enjoyed everybody's pieces. It was very original, creative, and clever. A lot of humor, but some serious stuff also. I really liked the variety of the ways that you guys approached the story. And I would also say that I'm really enjoying the physical appearance of all the typewritten pieces. I really like the way they're all different styles of font and colors of paper and different contrasts and brightness, and it's just a real great variety visually. A couple of the pieces I did increase the brightness and contrast a little to make it a little more legible in the video, but other than that I didn't really do any adjustments to the images the way they were. So great job, you guys. And now in the next day or two I'll put out a video giving you typing assignment number 5. And until then, great job. And some of those pieces I would say you guys should keep working at and maybe expanding them into something bigger than just a one-page story. They really were good. But I encourage you to keep writing, keep creating. Until next time, have yourselves a great day.